Six kids. Okay, so synthetic division. What does the word synthetic mean in real life? Fake, like man-made. Fake. And so this is kind of a man-made way to do some long division problems. But it only works if this right here, what you're dividing by, it has to be plain. Like, in other words, it can't have a coefficient in the front of it. Like, it wouldn't work if we were dividing by 2x minus 3. Okay? So you could use synthetic division to check some of your pink paper ones. Like number 4 on your pink paper and number 3 on your pink paper and even number 1 on your pink paper have plain numbers. Number 2 on your pink paper from yesterday, 10-8, has a number there. So you couldn't use synthetic to check it. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So let's look at it. Okay, so the first thing you do is you look to make sure you have one of everybody, or that you have everybody represented. You have x to the third, x squared, x, and 15. Okay, if it doesn't start with an x to the third, you don't have to put an x to the third there. You just start with whatever it starts with. I had some people last period trying to fill in an x to the third. Okay, so now you write down the coefficients. 2, 3, -4, and 15. Okay, and we're going to divide by, and we kind of do our division symbol kind of way goofy. Okay, we're going to divide by a -3. You do the opposite sign of what's here. And then that will, you know how yesterday we were having to change the sign of everybody? That's doing the opposite sign of that. That's kind of what, it kind of takes the place of that changing the sign yesterday. Yeah, maybe you've done, you might have done this last year in algebraic reasoning, maybe? Oh, okay, cool. You already know it. Okay, so the first step is you bring down the first coefficient, 2. And I wrote the steps right here on the sideboard. These are the steps for long division. So these are kind of the steps of synthetic division. But you're not even going to need the steps because you're going to catch on super fast. Okay, so you bring down. Okay, next you multiply. So that's the next step, multiply. That's right, and you put it here. Then the next step is you add. So a 3 minus 6 is -3. Then you repeat, okay? But you don't have to do the bring down anymore. So -3 times -3 is 9. So you're going back so we multiply, then we're going to add. Then we're going to multiply, then we're going to add. Back and forth like that till we're done. Okay, so what do we get here? We're going to add these. +5. 5 times -3 is, no, you're multiplying. -15, and then you get a 0. This last box over here is your remainder. I always kind of draw a box around it. And as you can see, because y'all kind of made a mistake, and I did in first period myself, you can see that your brain's having to go back and forth from add to multiply, and you kind of have a tendency to want to just take off and go really fast, and you got to slow down so that you don't make those careless mistakes, okay? Okay, so now what is your answer then? Well, if this is x to the third, your answer is going to start with x squared, okay? So you get x squared minus 3x plus 5. And we didn't have a remainder, did we? Got it? Because, well, think about it. If I were, here's what I'm going to multiply here, okay? If I were going to multiply these two back together, I would get this answer. So 2x squared times x is 2x to the third. So you always go down one exponent, okay? Okay, so let's do another one. First I'm going to check, make sure, is everybody there? Do I have any that I need to fill in with zeros? Just like yesterday, you had to be on the lookout for that. Okay, can I use synthetic division? Yes, because there's not a number right here. Okay, you can only use synthetic division if there's not a number right here. Okay, so I'm going to write down the coefficients. 3, -8, 11, and -14. So also you got to make sure you copy it down right too, right? Got to go slow enough you're copying it down right. Okay, so what do we write over here? A 2. You do the opposite sign. Hopefully you put that in your notes, at least in your notes. You don't necessarily have to do it on your work, but I would write that word opposite, you know, to remind yourself. Okay, what's the first step now? Bring down the 3, okay? So then now we're going to do what? Multiply. Good job. 2 times 3 is 6. Now we're going to add them up. Okay, now we're going to multiply. Now, yep, it is. Almost made a mistake there, didn't I? Okay, now we're going to do what? Add them up, and then what? Now multiply. We got a 0. So that's our remainder. So how do we write our answer? If this starts with x to the 3rd, that's going to be x squared. Okay, so 3x squared minus, good morning, minus 2x plus 7. Okay, yeah, he's here, thanks. Okay, I think that's later today. They're passing a lot of those out. Okay. Did you kind of get it a little better on this one? Okay, we're going to practice some more. It's just kind of a matter of getting the rhythm down. Now, pretty much all these in our notes start out with x to the 3rd. But like I was trying to say a minute ago, or I think I was, you're going to have some on your homework that just start with x squared. You don't have to fill that one in with a 0. You just start where it starts and go that way, looking for missing ones. Okay, so do I have everybody? Yes. Okay, so 3, -4, 2, -1 divided by, what do I write here? -1, opposite sign, remember? It's a positive 1 here, so we got to do the opposite sign. Okay, bring down the 3, then what? Then multiply, good job. So then we do what? Add, good job. Then we multiply, what do we get here? Positive 7, good job. And then we add, -1 times 9 is -9. Oh, this time we have a remainder, don't we? Okay. So if that's x to the 3rd, this is going to be x squared. So 3x squared minus 7x plus 9. How do we do our remainder? We learned that yesterday. Yeah, because that's really technically, this x plus 1 up here is really technically what we're dividing by. So we're going to do x plus 1 here. And remember, you could write it like this. You could say plus -10 over x plus 1. Either way is acceptable. Were any of y'all working ahead of me on that one? Getting it done all by yourself? Good job. Okay, so now, looky here. What's happening here? Yeah, we have some missing ones, don't we? So we have an x to the 3rd. We don't have an x squared, do we? So what do we write for x squared? A 0. We don't have an x, do we? So that's kind of like our x squared. That's kind of like our x. So we write a 0, but we do have the plain number, the constant, which is a 27. So we're going to divide by a what? A -3. Okay, bring down the 1, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, right? Multiply, add, multiply, add. Last one is always your remainder. Okay, so if that starts with x to the third, this is going to start with x squared minus 3x plus 9. Y'all getting it? Okay. Okay, let's do one more. Y'all ready for me to change places, change pages? Okay. Okay, so basically they're just saying they want us to completely factor. So when we get our answer, it might need to be factored again. Okay? So, do we have everybody we need to have? Is everybody's represented? Yes? No? Yes. Okay. So 1, 2, -5, -6 divided by a what? We're going to use a -1 there, right? With the opposite sign. Okay, bring down the 1. See if you can work ahead of me on this one. Okay, 1 times 1 is -1. And then you get another 1. And so 1 times 1 is -1. Now we get a -6. -6 times -1 is 6, positive 6, and we get a 0. That's our remainder. Okay, so if this started with x to the third, that's going to be x squared. So x squared plus 1x minus 6. Okay, so this said completely factor each polynomial so that we end up with 3 linear factors. Here's one of them. That's one of our linear factors. Okay, and so then we have to factor this one, and lucky for us, we don't have to do grouping, do we? Because it doesn't start with a coefficient, a number here. Okay, so what multiplies to -6 that adds to 1? Sure enough, yep, a 3 and a 2. So our other linear factor, they already gave it to us. It came with the problem. And there's our 3 linear factors. So what would happen if we multiplied all 3 of these back together again? What would we get? Yeah, we would get the top. We would get all this right here. Okay? Okay, so y'all got it? All right, I think so. I like synthetic division way better than